Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at some Marvel Legends retro Spider-Man action figures from Hasbro. So the main draw of this line, as you can probably tell right away, is the recreation of that original Spider-Man Toy Biz packaging. They crushed it. I mean, Hasbro did such a good job. They had done it previously with the X-Men toy line, and now they've taken to Spider-Man, and it's absolutely fantastic. They have really crushed it. I mean, everything I remember about this, you have the weird little like trapezoid shape over here with the animated character. The font is exactly what I remember. I mean, it hits all the nostalgia buttons for me as a 90s kid. Turning it around to the back, even the other figures that are available, that exactly looks like it. The like drawing here to show the action feature, the little bio. I mean, it's 100% faithful, and they have done such an amazing job. So I'm really happy with this. When I saw this, they announced it, I mean, obviously these are a little bit older at this point, but when they first announced it, I knew I eventually had to pick up a couple of these because I just love this packaging so much. It's such a good job. So today we'll be taking a look at Peter Parker. We have Electro, we have Daredevil, and then you can probably see, if I park this, there's a larger figure in the back, the Kingpin. So most of these are just kind of repaints of figures that have already happened, but then they've put them in this packaging. The Kingpin was a Build-A-Figure, and I was actually really bummed I never got all the figures in that wave. The original Kingpin had like a black and white color scheme going on, so he looked a little bit fancier, but this is 100% the color scheme from the 90s show, so I'm kind of actually happy I didn't get the other one, and I just picked this one up. One, it's easier to just buy one figure by itself instead of having to do the Build-A-Figure, and also this is the color scheme that I prefer, so this is absolutely fantastic, and I love that. So we got Kingpin, we got Electro, and I can show you the back of the packaging real quick for all of these. I have most of this first wave. I do have Green Goblin, but I decided to keep him in the packaging because I wanted one representation to keep on card. And I have the previous, like again, this is a repaint of Green Goblin. I have the original Green Goblin. These colors are a little bit brighter so that they coincide more with the cartoon. But I decided to just keep that one on card because I really wanted some representation of this recreated packaging to display. I cannot find Spider-Man, actually. Obviously, he's the most popular, so I have not been able to find him anywhere. And then I just passed on Gwen Stacy. I don't know. The whole thing about, we also included a Mary Jane Watson head so you can get two characters out of it. I'm like, but that's not the same. That doesn't do justice to the Mary Jane character, and I don't think it's right to just say, oh, well, they're two female characters, they can use the same body. That doesn't make sense to me. That's Gwen Stacy, and that looks fine as Gwen Stacy, but then Mary Jane Watson should get her own figure. I don't think it's fair to just put the head in that box and say, now it's two characters. I don't know. That just rubbed me the wrong way, so I decided not to support that figure. But anyway, taking a look at Kingpin here, obviously they have interchangeable heads. That's the main action feature here. But yeah, so we'll be taking a look at most of this first wave, as is represented here on the back of the packaging. And then we have 90s Daredevil, which I just love. That's absolutely ridiculous color scheme, but it's very 90s, so I love it. So we're going to go ahead, get all these guys out of the packaging, and we're going to take a closer look. So here are the four figures out of the packaging, and I'll take a look at each of them individually in a moment, but I just wanted to do a quick group shot just to show you how much larger Kingpin is than all of them. Even with Electro, all the way to the tip of his mask, still dwarfed by Kingpin, so I just thought that was absolutely hysterical. I'm going to go ahead and put these guys off to the side, and we'll take a look at Kingpin first. Now it makes sense because Kingpin is a very imposing character, so it makes sense to have him a little bit larger than the rest. And he was originally a Build-A-Figure. I can't remember exactly what wave it was, but he had, I think, a black vest and everything else was white. I think it was a fully white suit, but they've gone ahead and repainted him here in the color scheme of the outfit he wore in the animated series. He's always wearing the same outfit, so that's what they have recreated here. He looks good, though. You can see he's got this cool staff with the gem, or diamond, I guess that is, at the top. It's a little cloudy. Would have been neat if it was a little clear, but not a big deal. The cane is bent, a little bent from being in the packaging, but again, not a big deal. But this is a really large figure. I think they did a nice job with the head sculpt. Looks pretty good, and he does come with an alternate head where he's kind of like dinged up a little bit. He's angry. He's probably in the middle of a fight, something like that. So I think that's pretty cool. It's very easy to swap the heads off. They're just on a ball joint, and the head can move from side to side. There's also a hinge as well, so you can move that up and down. You have nice big joint here in the shoulder, so you have a hinge and a rotation. It's very fluid. Same thing with the elbow. One elbow, there's a hinge and a rotation, And then you have a swivel and a hinge in the wrist as well. And he's got that nice ring there. Nothing on that hand, but articulation's all the same. You do have some movement here in the chest, as you can see. You have a swivel there. Soft, rubbery type plastic for the jacket, which I think works well. And then you have a nice movement down here in the hip. So you have a hinge and a swivel there. And then you have a hinge and a swivel in the knee as well. And then you have a hinge and a rock side to side in the shoe. So definitely a lot of nice articulation. It's a little bit simplistic, which I think works. I think it just works a little bit better for how big he is. And all the joints are nice and fluid, which I appreciate. I don't really need him to have like double jointed knees or elbows. I don't think that makes sense for a character this big. But I really like him a lot. I'm glad I decided to pick him up. I wanted some representation of the Kingpin, and I didn't get the Build-A-Figure, and I actually really like the animated color scheme better, so I'm really happy that I picked this up. Now, I think I got this on Hasbro Pulse, but it was also available on Amazon for a while. It should be pretty easy to come by if you're looking for this guy. Look around. He should be somewhat, I think he's still somewhat available. But yeah, he looks really great. Next up, we'll take a look at Electro, and he's done here in his original color scheme and costume. I know a lot of redesigns of Electro have him more blue and kind of made of electricity and whatnot, which is a cool look, but I've always favored the original costume. Just something about this original mask is so ridiculous that I absolutely love it. But head is on a ball joint. You have a hinge as well. You have the hinge joint there. I don't believe there's a butterfly joint, so I think this is a bit of an older figure. So no butterfly joint, but he does have bicep swivel. He does have double jointed elbows. He has a swivel and hinge in the wrist. He does have the ab crunch. He's got a waist swivel. He can kick about that far forward, kick out to the side. Not too much going on in the back because of the butt flap. You do have a thigh swivel. Nice lightning bolt painted all the way down the side of his leg. So if you do the thigh swivel, it might not line up, but you can line it up. You do have the double jointed knee, as you can see. And then you have a boot swivel as well, which you almost miss because it's kind of like so done well into the leg that I almost didn't notice it at first. And then you have a hinge and a rock side to side in the ankle. And he looks great. I really like him a lot. He does come with some alternate hands, so if you want to get some cool lightning effects going on here, just pop out the one hand, pop the other one in. Pretty neat there. So I'm really happy with this guy. Like I said, I've always been a fan of this original costume because of how ridiculous it is. And just green and yellow work well together. So I think this is a really cool rendition of Electro, and I'm happy to add him to my collection here. Next up, we have Daredevil in this super 90s outfit that I absolutely love. The metallic red with the black just looks really, really good. You have a little bit of silver as well. All the colors just really pop. I love the mask. I think he did such a great job with that. He's got mostly all the same articulation as Electro. Head's on a ball joint with a hinge as well for the neck. You have a hinge here in the shoulder, which the armor hinders slightly, but it's not too bad. You have a rotation as well, bicep swivel. You do have double jointed elbows there. Now you can see here in the wrist, of course, you do have the hinge and swivel there in the wrist, but he's also got these kind of little gauntlets that have the billy clubs attached, because he doesn't have like a holster on the side of his costume like most Daredevil costumes have. So he has these gauntlets with the billy clubs attached, and what you can do, if you go ahead and unpeg the hand, then you can slide that off. Then he comes with alternate bracers that you can slide on. And I don't know if there's any kind of rhyme or reason to, you know, which way goes which. I think probably this right here is where the billy club would have attached, so I'm going to slide it on like that and see if that makes sense. Or maybe, am I putting it on backwards? I don't know. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason, but then you can go ahead, and he does come with open hands as well. So you can see he comes in the packaging with closed fists, but then he also comes with open hands. So once you put on the bracer that doesn't have the club attached, and then you can go ahead and pop in the new hand, and then they give you billy club attachments that you can put in his hand so he can actually use them as weapons. And the metallic red paint on the hands looks really good. I was kind of afraid it was going to flake, but it actually looks pretty darn good. And he does come with two, and they actually can peg together if you want to give him like a mini staff, which I think is pretty cool. So I really appreciate that. He does have a abdomen crunch there. You have the swivel there in the waist. You can kick forward. Let me move this out of the way. You can kick out to the side. Not really too much going backwards because of the butt flap, but you do have the thigh swivel as well. You have the double jointed knees. You have the rock and side to side in the ankle. Unfortunately, mine is kind of stuck over here. I've really tried to move it a lot, and I cannot get it to move, and I'm really afraid I'm going to break it. The side to side works perfectly well, but I can't get the hinge to work on that one, so that's kind of a bummer. I'm going to go ahead and unpeg this hand so that I can switch out the bracer on this one as well. He comes with two normal bracers, so we can go ahead and put this on. Let me make sure I line this up correctly. Probably like this. And then I can use the other hand to pop in. There we go. So I'm going to do, I like that you can do the staff by putting them together, but I also like the look of him using them singly. So we're going to go ahead and pop that in there. There we go. So I really like this one a lot. I love this alternate costume. I think the metallic red really pops with the black and the silver. He also comes with an alternate head. So if you want a Matt Murdock head, which I think looks really good. Very simple, but very good. And it's actually very faithful to his one appearance on the animated series that they're kind of referencing here with this packaging. So all of these accessories are fantastic. He comes with the most accessories of anyone that we're looking at today. So really have a lot of options with Daredevil here, and I think he came out great. And last but certainly not least, we have Peter Parker, and it's a pretty basic looking design. I've seen a lot of people actually use this body for different figures. You know, take Power Ranger civilian heads and pop them on here since it's kind of a normal outfit. I've seen it be used for, you know, even Star Wars characters. You could put, not that it makes any sense in the Star Wars universe, but because they're all done by Hasbro, you can pop the head off and switch them around. So I think Power Rangers is probably the one it makes the most sense with. But technically, you could mix and match whatever you want. So whatever goofy scenarios you want to create, all the ball joints should be pretty similar. So you shouldn't have a problem there. But he does come with these giant glasses, which I think are hilarious, kind of reminiscent of his original appearance in the comics. But then he also comes with the half Spider-Man head, half Peter head that they would use sometimes when maybe he was in civilian clothes, but his spider sense was going off, or maybe someone was close to guessing his identity or something. They would use this kind of head. So I think it's a fun inclusion. And you just pop the one head off, pop the other one on. But yeah, it's a pretty standard figure. Like I said, you have a soft plastic here for the coat. Otherwise, everything is pretty much exactly the same articulation as Daredevil. Yeah, I'm not really noticing anything different. I like his little tennis shoes. I think those work. And of course, he does come with the camera. So let me see if I can actually bend this so that it will get close to his face. I'm sure it's possible. I'm just terrible at posing action figures, as you all know. What can we do here? What can we do? I feel like if I bend this, what can we do here? I swear I'm going to get this eventually. Yeah, that's not bad. We'll take it. We'll take it. So, not perfect, but he does come with this cool little camera accessory, which I think is pretty nicely detailed. Not a ton of paint on it, but it works. And then really, he's just a pretty average, you know, I don't think there's too much going on here with this, but it works. If you just want a Peter Parker figure, like I said, if you want a civilian outfit for, I think it really works well for the Power Rangers. I think you could pop the head off and use a lot of the different Power Ranger civilian heads and just have kind of a normal outfit, which I think is fun. And then you could have maybe like a Morphin Time display or something like that. But either way, if you just want a Peter Parker figure, it definitely works as a Peter Parker figure, and I think it looks really good. The glasses are both ridiculous and awesome at the same time. Like, when I first saw them, I thought it was too much, and then the more I look at them, I love it. So I can't decide, but I think they're kind of comical, but they work well. I just think it's a good looking figure. I really think all four of these are great. I definitely recommend picking them up. I mean, obviously the retro packaging is a ton of fun, but even when you take them out, you still have some really great figures here. I mean, the Daredevil I think is probably my favorite out of the four. I just really love the color scheme and the kind of 90s suit that they put him in here with the all black with a little bit of metallic red. I think looks really cool. I like that he can store the billy clubs on his gauntlets, and they give you the stored and, you know, equipped versions, so you can have you don't have to take the gauntlets off completely or make it look like the billy clubs are still attached to his gauntlets while he's wearing them. So I like that attention to detail. But overall, he just comes with a lot of great accessories. The costume looks fantastic, great articulation. He's kind of my favorite. But I think Kingpin might be a very close second. Like I said, I always wanted this version of the Kingpin. I love these larger than life because of his demeanor and his outreach and his extension as a crime lord. I think that's kind of personified in how big his stature is. And I just always liked the character, and I really like the color scheme here matching the original 90s motif, which I think is a lot of fun. And it was nice to be able to get a Build-A-Figure that you missed out on by just being able to just buy it instead of having to go back and track all those individual figures down. So I love that they made it available like that. You can kind of see that the cuffs are still black on his arms, which I just noticed because the undershirt was black on the original, so they didn't repaint that. I guess they didn't really know what to go with because you don't really see his shirt. You just have the ascot and the vest. But I believe because his vest was black on the original toy, that's why they made the shirt peeking out underneath. I think it was black on black, if I'm not mistaken. But in any case, the figure still looks fantastic. Electro's also really good. I think they did a nice job with him. I think it's an older figure. That's why he doesn't have butterfly joints. I think that's why most of these don't have butterfly joints, honestly. I mean, I never really expected Kingpin to have it as a Build-A-Figure, but I think the reason the others don't is because they're kind of older figures that they've reissued with this retro packaging. But I still think they're all great. I really do. I think Peter's simple, but he works. I think Electro looks great. The electric hands are a lot of fun as well. So I recommend picking up all these. I think they're all great additions to the collection, and I'm happy to get a second crack at them because I missed out on them the first time. And the retro packaging, again, just a ton of fun. They nailed it. They did such a good job recreating that Toy Biz packaging from the 90s, so I applaud them on that. But yeah, definitely check these out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.